So I'm really happy to, we thought that what would be fun would be to showcase some of the wonderful things that are happening in libraries in Vermont. So we have a panel of, it's actually 4 libraries represented who will be telling you about all the fantastic things that they're doing. The first group is Margaret and Susanna from the Charlotte Library.
Good morning. I'm Margaret Woodruff. I'm the director of the Charlotte Library.
And I'm Susanna Kahn, the tech librarian at the Charlotte Library.
And we wanted to, first of all, I guess make a disclaimer. I majored in Japanese history.
And I have a master's in social work.
And yet we started a maker program at the Charlotte Library. The main point is that if we can do it, because if you had asked any of our staff 2 years ago, I don't think any of us could have told you what a maker movement was, or that we would be hosting maker activities and launching a maker program. But nowadays, you can't get away from the maker mania, but the prospect of that can be somewhat intimidating. So we thought we would give you a little primer, I guess you could say, on how we got started. In addition to maker, the term tinker is also part of the vocabulary describing programs that offer kids and adults a chance to do and make. As noted in the first slide, for us the key word is possibility, and it meant seizing the chance to jump in and see what works. And we feel like we could set a great example for our participants in our programs when we're willing to try something and we might not even know how it's going to work out. Which leads to, why is this happening at the library anyway? And I think in the conversations we had about our maker programs, we felt that the libraries equals information mantra fits in perfectly with the maker movement. We provide programs that allow patrons of all ages to do and to make. And by doing that, we're giving them hands-on access to the world of creativity, as well as direct connection to the STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and math fundamentals that are so critical to our society and our economy. That being said, even if you've never darkened the doors of the AP Physics Lab, you bring a wealth of knowledge to the table. Have a conversation with your staff and volunteers, and if you don't know how to put together a simple circuit or cast down a row of knitting stitches, you probably know someone who does. Draw upon all the resources available in your community and let those people help guide how your maker program will begin. Find someone with knowledge. Here are some of the fabulously helpful people we found in our community: an FBI agent, a laboratory biologist, and an IBM engineer. With a few emails and phone calls, we've also contacted coding specialists, DNA experts, and cable manufacturers. Teachers and other educators have welcomed the projects we do as a way to see STEAM in action and to create engaging learning connections outside of the classroom. As with any program, there are a few considerations before you begin. Do you want a single session, one-off? You're going to go home with the thing you came to make that day? Is it going to be a series that builds knowledge? Is it a special program that you've gotten grant funding to do? And also, of course, you need to consider age. Gender is a factor. Boys are more attracted to our maker programs than girls, but we're looking to sort of even out that playing field as well. So, a quick hop on the internet, and you can be overwhelmed by all the maker possibilities and the money you can spend to go along with them. But here are a few that we've tried and tested at the library, and they've done with reasonable expense, or inexpensive, rather. On the other hand, there are programs that are beyond the scope of any of us, and we used our reference and resource skills to find people to help us with some of these programs you see listed up here. One key resource is our very own Department of Libraries. Mara Siegel, together with Susan O'Connell at the Craftsbury Library, is responsible for fostering the maker movement here. And thanks to her hard work and insight, there is a wealth of information at your fingertips. If you look beyond the bounds of Vermont, another great place to look is the Adult Library Services Association, and we found the toolkit, the link listed here, to be a really helpful guide for some of the programs. So now we thought we'd share a little bit about what maker programs look like at the Charlotte Library. As we can all attest, Maker is not limited to the technological world. We host everything from knitting groups and syrup tastings to our sourdough starter workshop, complete with waffles and a very happy eater. A mainstay of our Maker menu is Maker Mondays. And once a month during the school year, we offer after-school program focusing on a specific project. Scribblebot, squishy circuits, solar ovens, and marble runs are some of the ones that we offer. As you can see, Scribblebots are mini robots outfitted with up to pens. And one of the favorite parts of this program was the Scribblebot skirmish that would occur when you got two Scribblebots on one piece of paper. Very exciting. Our Hack-A-Lantern program was one session that features simple circuitry, so that kids got used to working with batteries and bulbs and wires. And the squishy circuits provided a more whimsical and really tangible way for kids to use their circuits. Along the same lines, paper circuits involve simple circuits using flat batteries, bulbs, conductive tape, and a lot of imagination. Getting a little more complicated using conductive thread and a coin cell battery, some of our makers came up with these fantastic bracelets, and there's a snap latch on the bracelet that actually completes the circuit. So it's like that. Sure. This was one of our recent programs, and the menu featured s'mores cooked in our solar oven. And after the kids got to try that out, they made their own portable solar oven from pizza boxes so they could continue making s'mores on the go. Thanks to the Vermont Department of Libraries Spark a Culture of Innovation grant, we were able to offer a series of more complex maker programs last summer. Two of them were taught by experts included in the grant, and these facilitators taught us how to coordinate a more complicated project, in addition to teaching kids and adults about the topic of the day. The first one was e-textiles, and participants used conductive thread and small LEDs to embroider their own works of art. And this gave us the experience and courage to try the LED cuff bracelets that you saw in the previous slide. The other program was toy hacking, and that involves taking apart one electronic plaything, as you can see here, to create another one. It required planning, design, and the spirit of adventure. So great program. The Adopt a Maker grant project that just concluded this fall was our most ambitious project yet. 4 students and their mentor came up with a project concept and worked to create an autonomous watercraft capable of sampling and recording aspects of watercolor. That's a moment. And thanks to the generous donation from the Champlain Mini Maker Fair and UTC Aerospace Systems, the group had funds to purchase materials and electronic supplies to build the SS Triton, a seaworthy craft that was exhibited at the Mini Maker Fair in September. And you can see here they're getting ready to launch it on the fire conduit. Tinkerbells is our most recent venture, planned and coordinated by our tech librarian, Susanna. This is a series of programs that introduces students to science and technology projects, as well as the women who work in these fields. It's a great opportunity for girls and boys to see that the STEAM world is a place for everyone. And if we had to come up with any words of wisdom, we think this recipe might be what works for us. Keep it simple, engage different groups, practice, bring in local experts, and make it fun. And to finish up, here are a few projects we're looking forward to working on. Thanks to a grant from Vermont After School and the Montreal Museum, we're going to host a couple of tinkering programs. Susanna and our IBM mentor will be working on the Hour of Code. Not sure what that is, but it sounds menacing. In December. And that we hope will lead to Scratch Arduino workshops for middle schoolers. We'll keep going with our Maker Mondays, and we always have our Lego Club challenges for our younger users in the community. Thank you.
Fabulous. As Mara said, I'm Kate. I am from Orwell. And the program I was asked to speak to you about today, it is a specific program. It is not a set of programs like Charlotte spoke of. But it is a print your own 3D sound waves program. It is one that utilized a 3D printer. And it was a 2-day event. Folks came in on the first day and they recorded their voices, which were turned into sound waves by a computer. And then they came back the following Saturday to pick up their printed item and to finish it. So a brief explanation of that. And now to let you know a little bit about my community. I assume there may be a few of you in the audience who doesn't know much about Orwell or doesn't know Orwell. It is a community of about 1,250 people. Located in the South Champlain Valley, about 25 minutes southwest of Middlebury. And wonderfully enough, we have a village green. I have to mention this because I may or may not love my community. My trustee is smiling there. We have a village green, a village center, and around that we have our school, our village store, the town hall, the town office, the bank, and the library. We are situated wonderfully for really taking part in our community. And this is the library that you see up here. We are located on the main floor of this building. The upper floor is our Historical Society Museum. Open on Saturdays. Please feel free to come down and check it out. And I also feel like it's important to mention that we have a very supportive group of trustees, a very active group of trustees, as well as a friends group, which is, in my opinion, how I do what I do. I am a one-person library. We are a one-person library. That's how it feels. And we are open at this time 22 hours a week. So we're small, I guess. I'm trying to demonstrate that we are a small community with a small library with very few resources. So back to our event. I want to mention also that this program was brought to us by a community member. His name is Rod Bachelet, and he walked in one day after a summer reading program. If any of you have ever experienced one of those, I thought it was an insane moment for him to come in and present something like this to me. But thankfully, I recognized what it was, and he provided all the hardware, including the 3D printer, the microphone, the computer, and all the expertise to run this program. We just provided the space and the advertising, such as this flyer and newspapers and things like that. Also, another note to maybe put us in space and time with other libraries in the room. We just finished automating about 1.5 years ago, and our website went live about 2 years ago. So we are really figuring things out right now. If I can connect with anyone for that. So we're really busy playing catch up. So anyway, our innovative programming. Oh yes. So the 3D prints, you can see an example up there in the corner. I do have examples to actually show you what the 3D print item looks like. Do you all want me to pass those around? Or can they see them later? Should I pass them around? We'll see them later.
Passing around is pass around.
Yeah, you want to pass them? Okay, great.
It's all about touching it.
Yes, yeah.
Turning something.
So these 3 items, one is a right out of the 3D printer. You can't miss it. One of them is before the finishing work, and one of them is a finished product. Rod is an artist, so here you go, Michael. You can start. Rod is an artist, so what he does is always interesting that he brings to the library. He is also our tech guy, so I occasionally work with him in that capacity. All right, so as those are going around, the actual process that Rod went through for this, so I'm not going to read this. I just want to demonstrate that it is definitely a process and not the easiest one at that. But it's you can do it. It's not out of reach. And it is free, the process to do this, other than, of course, the 3D printer. And there is a link to the in-depth directions created by Rod and posted on Google Drive on the Good Ideas for Vermont Libraries blog that Amy Howlett keeps up. So if you want to bring this back to your library, if you have a 3D printer or know someone in town who does, you can find all of the information you need on that blog down at the bottom. And 3D printers, is there anyone in the audience who hasn't had any experience with a 3D printer yet? Yeah, okay, cool. So these are a few examples, a few popular examples. The Affinia, the red one, is the one that Rod has and the one that our library patrons have experienced on a few occasions. The MakerBot Replicator is one that's quite popular, and the Altimaker is also another popular, well-reviewed machine. And I put this on here to show you what they look like and also demonstrate to the trustees, especially in the audience, how expensive they are. But even myself at a rural, small, tiny library feel they're very important for the future of our craft as libraries. And for those of you who have never experienced a 3D printer, the way they print is in essence like a plastic thread, a heated plastic thread, which gets laid down layer by layer. Well, so a full layer, and then another layer, a layer, a layer, so on and so forth. And that's how it creates these items that are going around now. So now for the fun part. The actual event, the large picture you see there is from the day of the recording. Rod started the event with a demonstration of the 3D printer, which we've done at the library before, and I felt was really helpful for community members. I had 3 people show up to this event specifically to see what a 3D printer looked like. So there were about 15 people there, which is great for Orwell Free Library. Yeah, 15 people and 1 librarian from a local library looking to coach the event. Another thing to note is that it was intergenerational, which is vital in our community. You see there's old and young, and there were 3 late 20s, people in their late 20s there, which is huge to bring out those people in Orwell Free Library, in Orwell, huge. And I'm not in my late 20s, so I'm not counted. And the smaller photo is the day when we actually finished our prints. Rod printed them out over the course of those 5 days and finished them. And he brought them back to us, and we got to paint. He brought all the supplies and everything, and we got to paint them. And finishing a 3D print is not something I necessarily thought of as an important part of the process, but it certainly is. It's where the magic happens, where the actual 3D print becomes, I don't know, what's a good example of a 3D print, something important in the world today? Medical uses, there's so many different things. Robotic hands, yeah, can you imagine being an artist and finishing a robotic hand? It's a magical thing. And we had about 5 people come back to finish their print, so it was not the best turnaround, but it was good, it was great. And I certainly have fun, if you can see me there. Okay. Added bonus, he brought his 3D printing pen, which was fun to play with and tremendously difficult to use, but I assume they'll get better as time goes on. The 3D printing pen is like a glue gun in essence, but it prints plastic. And that little triangle there is actually standing up as a 3D object. It's not like just laying down on the paper. So that was fun. And that little boy, the one that, not particularly little, but the one sort of facing the table, he rode his bike 3 miles to get here because his parents couldn't bring him. I know, very cool. And that's Rod that you see there with the pen. So, and before I finish, I want to mention that Orwell is a recipient of Mara and Susan's hard work for this Spark a Culture of Innovation grant. We just received that grant this past year, and we'll be getting programming next year, like Charlotte was speaking about, through the grant that they put together. And the Vermont Community Foundation has sort of fostered, yeah. Let me see one more thing. So I just want to connect us back to libraries and say our world is, it just has a ton of new technology coming out, and has had a ton of new technology come out, and our rural communities need to experience these opportunities as well. We need, as libraries, to provide the possibilities to experience these things for our 7th graders and for our 63-year-olds, so they know what is out there. It's all written into our mission statements, well, mine at least, and I'm sure many of you have it as well, that we're lifelong learners and we want to foster lifelong learners, and this is what there is to learn right now. This is huge. So we might not be able to afford it, but maybe we can find a community member who can, I suppose, or a grant that can. And Howard said it best, we are the technology centers for our communities, so let's be that. Do I have a minute to do one more thing? Okay, and the next thing Rod has offered to bring is augmented, oh, it's not going to work. Technology. Never mind, we have a very cool program in line for the winter, but I guess you'll just have to check our website.
I have a question.
Yes.
How did you get your word out of the program?
Because Orwell is a small community, flyers work. That's a good question. How did I? It was the middle of the summer. It was August. Mentioned it at Buxton. So there's my trustee, which is the small. I put a flyer under the register area at Buxton's, which is the most well-traveled place in town, hands down. It is our general store. Flyers in the post office, flyers in the gas station, flyers everywhere. But mainly word of mouth. I was so excited about this program. I already visited the state library, visited the library. I was sure to plug it then too. Yeah, I just couldn't stop talking about it. So word of mouth, I guess.
So hi, my name is Sam Maskell. I'm the Youth Services Librarian at the Rockingham Free Public Library in Bellows Falls. I've been in my position since the early 2000s, and I've been offering what we call STEM or STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, math programs, long before they were called maker spaces, hacker spaces, tinkering, or anything else. And this type of programming in libraries is really important. As libraries, of course, we always go back to books, literacy, lifelong learning, and our missions. But how we serve our community, the roles of the library, it's something that's evolving, and it's going to continue to evolve. We've moved away from being book repositories to becoming community gathering places, learning centers, points of access for everyone for technology, community, and a lot more. And through STEAM programming, we now have this new thing we can offer our communities. So, that shows a little different than theirs. Why we STEAM? Policymakers, education experts, business leaders, they've all made it very clear that currently there are STEAM jobs that we need people trained for, and the demand's only going to grow from here. However, it's also recognized that for kids, 90 to 95% of STEAM learning occurs outside the formal education sector. So if most learning in STEAM is actually happening outside of schools, it becomes the responsibility of our communities to support high-quality learning programs. And while schools are definitely helping youth acquire those skills, they can't do it alone. And kids spend about 20% of their waking year in school. Vermont's public libraries and school libraries are uniquely positioned to provide their communities with opportunities to explore a wide range of topics. Practice inquiry, express curiosity, experience the excitement of problem solving and genuine discovery. So that's a little about why we do it, and I'm just going to show you some of the programs that we've been doing in Rockingham. So as I said, I've been doing tinkering and computing, coding, hacking programs for years. This was actually the first program that we did under the Maker title. This was a few years ago, and it was done in partnership with the local middle schools and after-school program. Through this program, we had kids explore electricity, circuitry, the very top left. They are doing squishy circuits, which are an awesome introductory program. They're very low cost. Next, we started doing e-textiles, sewing circuits with conductive thread. And we also went on to do soldering. There's some great kits that you can get. We're making leaky badges in this picture on the bottom. So there are some safety issues. There are lots of examples online where you can look up. And finally, this group also started to do some coding. There's a great program called Scratch, which you'll get to try later on if you come to our makerspace. And it's, so they made their own little video games. And we keep doing it. Tinkering, summer tinkering, hacking, making, coding, it's for the entire family. So we offered a summer workshop series with a range of different activities. This is an engineering challenge you probably have all heard if you haven't done it yourself. Take a fresh egg, create a structure, throw it off the top of the library, and try to keep it from breaking. So we just put out a range of materials, all sorts of things. This guy on the right, his failed spectacularly. But what's really cool is that when these kids are connected, I didn't have to prompt a discussion or facilitate anything. They immediately started saying, well, why didn't that work? What could we change? They were involved in the process. They went back in and they fixed it up, which is a really cool thing to see when you're doing this kind of programming. We also did some toy hacking. This is another really easy one to do. Hit the garage sales up, find some noisy, obnoxious toys, take them apart, figure out how they work, and then using leads and clips, we do a thing called circuit bending, and we make them operate in whole new ways. So this particular project, these kids had taken this lullaby toy. They had figured out where the sound nodes were. They had reconnected it, and it made this alien sound. So when they put it back together, they used cardboard and duct tape, and they made what they called the mothership. And this was the BristleBot program. So BristleBots are the head of a toothbrush, a vibrating motor, and a battery. And we put them together, and for some reason, this one ended up being a grandma and me project. We had a lot of older grandparents bringing their younger kids. We had a couple of big brothers, big sisters come to this one. And they decorated their little BristleBot. And then we took toilet paper tubes, cut them in half, and they made a racetrack. And they raced them around, and that was a lot of fun. And this is another fairly inexpensive project you can do. So this one, Girls in Tech, was actually a conversation I had with Mara, who asked me, are you doing anything to attract girls to your program, or do anything special just for girls? And I haven't done that, but it is important. There's a national conversation going on right now about women and girls studying in STEAM fields, working in STEAM fields, and if we can get their attention at this young age and get their interest, then they can go on and do great things. So we started off, I had my girls, and I offered them a range of projects to do, and this is what they chose. The first one, top left, squishy circuits. Again, it's a great introductory. It's a very, very, very low cost. Close up of the hamburger. Next, this was actually a One Direction party that they wanted to throw, but in throwing it, we did some e-sewing. So they made these blinky cuffs that they put pictures of the boys on. They were really excited about this project. It was a lot of fun. They wanted to do stuff with renewable energy. What we're doing in this picture, these pictures, are a thing called snap circuits. They make different kinds of snap circuits. This particular one is renewable energy. So you take the different things and you put them together. This top picture, they had made a hand-cranked radio. They're dialing into a local station. Cool. And then below it, we were playing with solar energy and figuring out how to build circuits where you use energy like water, the sun, or moving things, the air. And I love this picture. So again, Scratch is a great program. What they did is I taught them how to do some introductory programming with Scratch, and then they got to take their favorite song and animate a music video to it. So in this picture, they have done all their music videos. I put them up on the projector at the library. We're watching them. And I just love the look on their faces. They own this. They are so proud of it. And Scratch is totally free. So, and it's very, very easy to use. So if you come this afternoon to the Makerspace, you'll have a chance to play with it. So math club, story time, and more. It's really easy to talk about STEAM programming with older kids, teens, and adults, but we can't forget the littles. They need to have access too. So this first one is an after-school math club. The kids don't call it math club. This was the toilet paper Olympics. Using toilet paper, throwing it, wrapping up like a mummy. They were actually estimating, measuring, multiplying, adding, all great math concepts. We've done other fun things, like with glow sticks, we've studied geometry. They don't know it's math, it's just a lot of fun. And finally, early childhood. So as Marty mentioned, and many of you may already be aware, Vermont has this great statewide initiative, the Early Literacy Initiative. It's a statewide effort that focuses on early literacy, early math and science, social emotional development. And early literacy is not teaching kids how to read. It's the steps that children need to develop in order to be able to ready to learn how to read when they enter school. So as Marty mentioned, VLI STEM is coming. This is not teaching kids how to program the computer. It's laying these foundational skills. This is a really exciting project. Librarians from several Vermont libraries are going to be trained with the concepts and practices to help children ages 3 to 7. They'll be given the tools to deliver intentional, excuse me, I'm just getting my voice back. Intentional, open-ended, ongoing, and standards-based STEM learning experiences. So this is a really exciting thing that will be happening in your libraries throughout Vermont. Oh, that was actually, so that picture, let's see if I can go back to it. This was, after a story time, we had talked about roads and trucks, and so we had the train table out, and they're all working together to build a track, which in this picture, so these are kids all mostly 4 and 5. What's happening here, there's some amazing social, emotional things happening. They're able to work together, no one's throwing a tantrum. They're measuring, they're guessing, they're trying to figure out what will fit within the shape. So that's what's happening in that picture.
Okay.
That's my
Wait, one more thing.
Wait, there's a question.
I have one question. Our town has an after-school program. I think some of these circuit-based, maker-based activities would be a really great way for the library to cooperate with the school and put on a program. Timing though, we get about 1 hour chunks. Is that enough time to do like now quick flashlight, a squishy bod, and e-textile? Can a lot of these program projects be done in an hour?
Yes, a lot of them can. Things like Scratch, you'll need probably multiple hours to do.
Yeah.
So there's a great book, and it's listed on the resources, called Adventures in Scratch Programming. Each chapter is a new skill set, and you can easily do each chapter in about an hour. By the end of the session, there's 9 games in it that they can create.
Thank you.
I'm so chill. She has such a fun job.
There's a lot of space. Are you putting all those in the library or in other places?
So there's actually multiple spaces there. At the Rockingham Library, we recently finished a renovation, excuse me, past few years. So some of it is actually at the middle school while we were doing the renovation. But then I'm fortunate that I have a youth program room. I have my own section that's on a different floor from the main section. So, yes.
They can make noise.
How do you arrange cooperation with the school?
I go in through specific teachers. So we have a 21C after-school program with a great coordinator. So I just reach out to her. I also do work through the libraries. Occasionally, if there's a specific project, I'll work with a specific teacher. But generally, it's through whatever staff member, and they've been great working with me.
There's no sense of conflict.
No, no.
You do tours.
In Bellows
You do
Falls,
tours.
fortunately, people work together rather well. If I'm helping their program, it's not taking away from my program, and they have that same intention.
Thanks, Sam. Our last presenter is Liza Kaminsky from the Highgate Public Library, and I think she needs no introduction.
Yes. So apparently I'm the only one that got the please dress up memo. So I'll finish my outfit, which is not complete because I didn't want to look too ridiculous walking around today. But if I...
yourself again?
Oh,
Sorry, I missed
yes. Okay. I am Liza Kaminsky, and I am the librarian slash library director slash person who does it all at the Highgate Public Library. We are a small public library in Highgate Center, Vermont. So I'm going to start off by saying that my programming budget was $800 a year. That's the programming budget for me to use for every single program that I do. But I thankfully got that increased to $1,000. But I spend about $5,000 to $7,000 a year in programming.
Wow.
So I need to be pretty creative in how I do my do my programming. This is going to come off, sorry. And also, I have to really think outside of the box. So we are the little library, really little. We have roughly 1,000 to 900 square feet of usable space. We have this huge old safe in the middle of our building, which takes up like all the space. So this is our little library, and it's my third child. And so I've been here for 10 years, and it has grown tremendously. I actually have our statistics, which I shared with our. So we continue to be an activity center for the town. And in 2014, our usage increased substantially in all categories. Patron visits were up 165%, and this is when compared over the past 10 years that I've been there. Circulation by 212, program attendance by 189%, computer usage 139 when compared to 2004. So the goal of our programs is to promote literacy, help foster the love of reading and words while promoting healthy lifestyles and fitness and self-awareness in our community. So libraries are changing, and they're very unique to each community that they're in. And a lot of people say to me, well, some of these programs that you do, what do they have to do with the library? Well, each time we do a program, we are promoting the library. It's sponsored by the library. We may not have it at the library because of space, but we are out in the community. So, we do the typical library programs. We do story time, we do book discussions. We actually have a program we started maybe 4 or 5 years ago, which is an outreach program to families and daycares, and it's a preschool. It's our Take and Learn Book Express program. So for families who may have transportation issues and may not be able to get to the library, we will deliver books to their child in the classroom. We deliver books to the daycares and to residents who are homebound due to transportation or an illness. So that has really gotten us out into the community as well. We started a gardening program, which is not your typical library program, but it is something that our children love. We have had residents build us a new raised bed last year, and we actually need to expand that. So in the spring, we do a whole program on healthy eating, fruits and vegetables. And then in the fall, we do a harvesting program, which is great because the kids get to go out and pick the vegetables, which they don't understand why, they just don't realize we've actually put vegetables in the garden because they've all gone by. But they're very happy to go out and pick their vegetables and bring them back in. But during the summer, the children actually come and they and community members can take from the garden. And this is turned into a multi-generational program that during the planting days, we have people from the community come and participate in that as well. So for years, we've been doing salsa. This past year, we did vegetable soup. So our Little Explorers program is a program that I wrote a grant for in 2011, and it was funded by the Winnie Bell. We were having a shortage in our area for preschool, and everyone knows how important preschool is to young children. And so there were 30 spots, and it was a lottery. We had about 45 children that needed to go. So I was thinking, what can I do? What can our library do to help with this? So I have this great friend, Kurt Valenta, who is Exordium. I don't know if any of you have ever had him come to your library, but he's fabulous. He does hands-on nature programs. So Kurt and I got together, and I was like, Kurt, we've got a problem. These kids and their families really need an opportunity, and we need to provide them with something. So each month, we offer a program for children and their families, and family participation is extremely important for children ages 3 to 6 to interact with nature and their environment in a hands-on and fun way. So our goal is to bring a year-long program full of fun and education, and we visit different learning sites within the community where families can actually go for free, and a lot of families don't know these places are available. So we go snowshoeing. We have a gem in our community. One of our trustees has caves on her property, and so we get to go and the kids get to explore, and it's fabulous. We also do a summer camp, several summer camps. We have a week-long nature camp, which fills up extremely fast. And this is, parents do have to pay for this camp, but we have, thankfully, scholarships available for families who meet that income bracket, which in Highgate, most of the families do. So the kids just love being able to go out and play and explore, and they don't realize that they are learning in the process. They are just having fun, and they don't want to go when it's time to go. We also do an art program, and then we also have partnered with Young Rembrandts, and we offer programs throughout the school year. They use our space, so because the school didn't want them in the school, which boggles my mind. The art teacher and the principal didn't want them using the school for after-school activities, and so the teacher approached me, and I was like, you know what? That's what we're here for. We are here to provide a service for our community, and if you need to use our space, please use our space. And so Young Rembrandts has done amazing things for our children in our community. We also, last year, became the first library in Franklin County to do the summer meal program through the Vermont, I don't know, I can't even think, the program for summer food. My mind is going blank right now. And this is, we have such a huge issue in Highgate, and I know it's not just Highgate, it's in other communities where families really look forward to having the school provide their children with breakfast and lunch. Free and reduced meals in Highgate is, substantially higher than other counties or other towns. And so a mom started a program at the school to send backpacks of food home with children on the weekends, because there were at least 15 families that we knew of that really were struggling, working families who just didn't have, the weekends were really tough for them. And so I thought, what can we do as a library to help our community? And at one of our FLAIR meetings, which is the Franklin County Librarians, our libraries are really excellent. It's our little local library group. We had someone talk to us about the summer food program, and a lot of the libraries were like, oh, the paperwork, you know, the headache of adding more work to what we already do, especially in our one-person libraries. And I have sucker written on my head, and I called up and I got involved. And I will tell you, the paperwork, the federal guidelines make my head want to explode, but it was a great program. And we thought we'd serve 15 meals a day, and on average it was 25 to 30. So for 6 weeks, 2 days a week, you know, those children, and there is no financial guidelines, so these children, you know, Susie's family may make a lot of money, but Johnny's doesn't. But when they come in, I go, you know, Johnny doesn't get singled out for eating lunch. So that became a great program for our community. We also started our recreation. We didn't really have a recreation department in Highgate, and so I wrote a grant, and I got it funded, thankfully, and it was the Fit Kids in Highgate, Fit Kids and Family program. And through that, we started a program, our Little Dribblers program for basketball, which I've learned 45 children and 2 coaches, and kindergarten and under, it's kind of crazy. But I think we've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. I don't know. My mind just, you know, I know the season's coming and I'm like, oh my God. But because I love these little guys so much, I do it. We also have a skater top program. We have this wonderful arena in our town that we're able to use. And so we have a program where we also have the skates and the crates, so families can utilize those if they don't have that. We do adult yoga, we do yoga tops, and through our grant I was able to purchase some snowshoes last year, and then we just got 6 more pair donated last week thanks to the RISE Vermont program, which is in St. Albans through the hospital. So now, just with a library card, you can come check out your snowshoes. So for people who can't afford it, it has been a tremendous asset. We also started a Girls on the Run program. So we've been doing it for 3 years, and it's run through the library. And you know, a lot of people are like, why are you doing this? This has nothing to do with literacy. This is every time we are out in the community, it's sponsored by the library, it's put on by the library, and there is literacy involved in everything we do in some aspect. And this program is just absolutely amazing and warms my heart to see these kids start out at the beginning of the season. It's a 12-week program, thinking that they can't do this, and then at the end they do the 5K in Essex, and the smiles on their faces to see their accomplishment is amazing. And last year I actually had, I still boggles my mind, I had a library in Salem, North Carolina, contact me asking how in the world she could get this started at her library. So that was pretty amazing to me to see that somehow somebody knew. The boys were like, Miss Liza, this isn't fair. What about us? So, sucker on my head, I started a cross-country program. So this is our 2nd year doing it, and we had 26 kids this year with 2 coaches, and my volunteer coach who helps with Girls on the Run, Mrs. She's like, Liza, you're lucky, I love you. But this is just it's just an amazing program, and everybody loves it. So this is one of my favorite programs. One of. So we've been doing this for about 5 years. Kaylee's Closet, Kaylee's my daughter, had to ask her name first if we could use it. But we started it about 5 years ago, and it was the Fairfield Library, a patron that was doing it for her Miss Vermont program. And it is a, well, prom dress, and it used to be Caitlin's Closet. Caitlin Brunel is a national, pageant person. And so we were Caitlin's Closet for 2 years, but then she kind of moved on and didn't want her name being used, so we changed it to Kaylee's Closet. The first year we gave, so in 5 years, the first year we gave 15 dresses away. Last year it was 150. So what this is if you donate your gently worn prom, bridesmaids, who has cocktail dresses around here anyway? My husband works for a sign company and they donated the sign, and apparently cocktail dresses, I don't know, but they put that on there. So, so this past year I was totally amazed. We were hoping for 60 dresses. We had over 150 dresses dropped off for this program. And this is the first year it traveled to other libraries in the county. So we gave 150 dresses away, and more dresses were dropped off. It went to Richford, and then it went to Fairfield. And next year, I have the Lanphier Library has wanted to participate in that. So if your library might want to participate, give me a call and you can be part of Traveling Kaylee's Closet. And just the idea was that, all these dresses are hanging in people's closets, and so many young women just can't afford to go out, and their families who are just barely making it can't afford to go out and spend $300 or $400 on a dress. And why not give them the dresses and the young ladies another chance to shine on their prom night? So, another one. My community loves to let me, let my mind work when I come to them and I'm like, I have an idea. They're all like, what now? So, this past year, I thought, what, we need a great community event. Something that brings everyone together, is multi-generational, and allows, families to have like a free fun day. So, I said, let's do a duct tape derby. They all thought I was crazy, but the school got involved in the classes. It was the 5th grade class put there, and they had the bus and all those up there. They were the ones that incorporated it into their lesson plan. And this year, it's actually going to be every class, every grade level that is going to be participating. So we had 30 entries, and we had over like 300 people show up from the community. And it was a very cold and windy day. And so like people who don't even have children were like, when they see me, they're like, are we doing the duct tape derby? Because I have a great idea. And I would like to point out up top, the fire department thought they could beat the library, but our little Sparkle Mobile, which was made by Story Hour kids, totally won. Now this is totally my favorite, so I have to end on it, is the Polar Express. So the person that I idolize the most in the library world is Jane Maker Ramos, and she is who I'm going to be when I grow up. And she doesn't like that I say that because, she doesn't think she's grown up yet either. So I went to a program, and she was talking about a story hour for the Polar Express. And I decided I'm going to do that. So this is our 6th year, and it has grown tremendously. The first year we had 25 children. It was just a story time. Now, this year we have 220 children, and it's turned into a 3-day event. Our community loves to volunteer to be elves. We have a local person who donates her cookies. So the children get on the Polar Express. They all get a ticket. It's punched by our elves. They get on the Polar Express with Santa. They drive around town, and they come back to the North Pole, which some are like, Miss Liza, is the library. Imagination. So they get their tickets. They get off, and then they go inside. And so we have elves. We do the story, the reading of the Polar Express, and everyone gets the bell of Christmas. And then they move on to the dining car, and have their cookies and their cocoa. So this is totally what makes my heart warm. So with a little imagination, a dash of creativity, and a bit of sparkle, you can make your library shine bright in your community. And amazingly, last year, I didn't even kill anybody or commit a crime. This just boggles my mind. My husband came home with a paper and he's like, you need to see this. Front page, like big, right on the top bold. My name is bigger than somebody who probably had committed a murder. It became, they did an article about the essential people of Franklin County, and I was just amazed that somebody, you know, I'm just doing my job, I'm doing what I love and loving what I do, and so anybody can do this, and everything that we do gets people into the library and gets the library's name out in the community. The end.
So I'm hoping that you now all go back to your libraries and insist that librarians do other things, new fun things. And thank you, Margaret and Susanna, Kate, Sam, and Liza.
Question
Question?
for Liza.
Oh, I was gonna go take this off.
Later.
My daughter didn't want to come with me when I said we could go to the mall after. I would go to the mall with her.
I would like a little more information about the summer lunch program. Did you say that's a federal program?
It actually is through the Vermont, Hunger Free Vermont, and there is, I believe, a link on the Department of Libraries. Yeah, because the libraries, there is a program, I know other libraries across the state participate as well.
Thank you.
What are your library statistics? I know that your library is quite small, but in terms of like community size, hours that your library is open.
Should have that in my bag. We are open, we just increased our hours, so we are now open 35 hours. We're a town of roughly 3,600. Our program, I mean, I have,
So we actually have the public library statistics on the Department of Libraries table outside. If you haven't picked up a set, get it now.
and that's from the past year, right? So all of that is there.
So is it just, are you the only librarian at the library?
I am the full-time, they increased me to full-time about, 8 years ago. I do have 2 support staff that are roughly about 10 hours a week to run the desk while I shake my sillies out and all that stuff.
Hi, I'm Lori Colgan, and I work with the program that offers the summer feeding program to areas around the state. So if any of you want to talk about it, I would love to share information about it and tell you how you can get it in your towns and libraries.
So we're going to cut Liza off. We hope you paid close attention to every panelist. They're going to be here for the rest of the day, and particularly from 12 to 1. We hope you will find the person you want to learn more about and talk to them one-on-one.